Hello and welcome to Insight TV. I'm your host, Helen Kerrison. I'm the founder of Insight in Business and a conscious discovery expert. And my passion is sharing how we can live consciously. We can live the conscious life we truly love when we know how. On Insight TV, we'll be exploring these ideas and thoughts and sharing experiences, and we'll be discovering new things. It's where we look at who we are on the inside and how that creates our life on the outside, and how actually it works the other way around sometimes too. We're in the second series of broadcasts now, so we're looking at the energetic connection. And each week we sort of examine a different aspect of this. And today, with my special guest, we are going to be exploring clearing your limits. Now, before I introduce you to her, I'd like to share 3 concepts with you. And the first one is, happiness comes from connecting with your inner self. The second one is, you are responsible for your happiness and you decide how happy you want to be. And the third one is, there are no limits. Full stop. There are no limits. Okay, so on to my guest for today. It is a real pleasure to introduce you to Lynda Dyer. Now, Lynda is the founder of Mind Power Global. And Mind Power Global is an organization that assists people to whatever level of consciousness they'd like to reach, so they can show up and be their brilliant selves in the world. Lynda teaches NLP, she coaches transformational change, and she writes inspirational best-selling books, among many other things, which you'll learn about as we go through the show. So Lynda's joining us from Sydney, Australia. Welcome to the show, Lynda.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Helen.
You're very welcome. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, always, always. I'm just so inspired by what you do and happy to be a part of getting your message out there. Wonderful.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. So where do we start? Clearing your limits. It's so important, isn't it, to get rid of those things that are blocking us, that are preventing us from being our best. So let's...
Oh, look, absolutely.
Yeah, and I was going to say, let's take a little talk about that, because I know that's your passion. Oh, and I can hear your dog. He's passionate too. So what about clearing your limits?
Well, I think first of all, we have to look at what is our limit and where did that limitation come from. And I think in order for us to work out what our limits are, it's really a very easy process. So you put yourself in a chair or stand in one position and you go, right, this is what's going on for me right now. Yeah, this is the truth of where I am right now. And then you look at, or you walk over to very close to another position. You either sit in another chair or stand in another place, and you say to yourself, so if I had everything going for me right now, what would I be doing? Where would I be? What would I be doing in this world, you know? And whatever is stopping you from going from there to there, right now to there, that's your limit. Mm-hmm. So our limits are absolutely our obstructions or our things that stop us from getting to where we want to be or who we want to be or where we want to go. They are the blockages that stop our progress, or they're perceived to be the blockages that stop our progress. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, the most common limiting belief is I am not good enough or I don't deserve. Mm. And that is really interesting because it can be cleared many, 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 many times and rear its ugly head again and again. And why that happens is because as we raise our levels of awareness, and this has got nothing to do with intelligence, but as we become more and more aware of being at cause for our world, we're going to be challenged a lot more. And so we're going to come up with little bits and pieces of, oh, you know, like the first time I was asked to go on TV, it was like, oh, there was a limit. Maybe I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I
had that one too.
Maybe a few of us. And so it was really interesting that, you know, you can have it as a child and then somebody clears it because you go through all these NLP courses and personal development, but they're clearing it at that particular level. It's not to say that it may not rear its ugly head again. And so, but however, the subconscious mind becomes aware of how you can release it, and so it's very quick to continually release it, you know. And then you've got to ask yourself, how did it get there in the first place? If you look at Joe Dispenza's work from Evolve Your Brain, he says we're born just beautiful human beings, and then everybody told us what not to do. In other words, everybody else gave us limits of what was possible. You know, you can't do that, you can't touch that, it's too hot, don't go there, or don't go out, it's after 4 o'clock and you'll get a cold, or don't crawl on that, you know, you'll fall off and hurt your head. Well, maybe we should have let them do what they thought was possible, so that they didn't feel like they had too many limits, and they could, through experience, work out for themselves what they could do.
I think that's a really good point, and I think there's this overprotection in a way at the moment. But the things that you could actually allow responsibility, and I think the responsibility aspect of it is huge, and we gain responsibility. We have to take it, but we have to have it given to us when we're younger. And if it's not given to us, then we don't learn how to take it. You know, yes, stay safe. There's you know, this is not. I'm not saying we should, you know, rashly make young people or children responsible for things that, you know, is beyond them, but to enable people to actually take that responsibility will make life a heck of a lot easier further down the road. Because
it's so calming. The funny part about it is it's calming when you're at cause for your world and you're totally responsible. So rather than a parent talking to a child about what they think the child did, it may be a better idea to ask great questions.
Yeah.
You know, what exactly happened in your opinion, and how do you think you could have behaved differently to get a different result? Is far better than you screwed up.
The more normal.
Like, compared to what? You know what I mean? Like, that's a perception. You know, the kid might be going, but hang on a minute, he was wrong. I mean, one of the things that really came to me when I was in Canada recently was, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? We're so, over the years, I think we've been so triggered into being right. But what's right? You see, the funny part about it is, you're right, I'm right, everyone's right, because we're coming from our perception. That's all we've got.
Yeah.
We're coming from our experiences and our wearing. We're coming from the people around us. We're coming from our nannies and grandpas and mums and dads and sisters and brothers and the experiences that we were all able to have. That's all we've got to come from. So wherever we're coming from is right.
Absolutely.
So rather than be right or wrong, we might like to think of both of us being right and then say, wow, that's an interesting perception. I remember when I first learnt this, putting my hand up and saying, oh, that's a very interesting perception. I just need to work out if I want to take it on board or not.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? That is the choice when you're in that space. Yeah. When you understand that everybody is right in their own world, you know. Yes. And that there's no wrong. And this is one of the things that when I teach the people that I work with, it's about letting go of this idea of right and wrong, of the comparison. You know, it is what it is, and it's about choosing your response to it, where you
and asking great questions. You know, it's just so much easier to ask a great question because questions bring the other person to cause. Yeah. So now the person's at cause for their answer, and to be able to let you know exactly in their perception what happened, rather than you make an assumption of what happened, and all of a sudden, you know, these kids go to their bedrooms and they're feeling, how did I go? Where was I wrong?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And you know, the asking the questions is really, really important, and being able to use language So I could, when when we talk about asking questions, so many people think about the why, you know. So they say, why did they do that?
Yeah.
Why did you do it? What, you know? And
Yeah.
why is one of those words I say, you know, take that one away. Just take it out of the vocabulary, because
Yeah, absolutely, because it just allows for justification.
yeah, absolutely. And people feel threatened.
Yeah.
They feel that they have to, you know,
Yeah.
they have to justify their space because they're being judged. There's an implicit judgment in that. So it's about using language as well, which I know you're also very interested in, and it's part of your work.
Oh, look, my mother would, you know, she'd be up in heaven clapping right now, because I was one of those people that got 97% for maths and 54 for English. So language wasn't my strong point. And she would mark my letters when I went to America and mark all the spelling mistakes. However, I got to understand in NLP how mathematical language is. The equal signs and the plus signs and the less than signs and the you are less than, you are greater than is very mathematical. Our language is very mathematical, and we can put people in a place that really isn't comfortable just simply from our language. So asking great questions allows them to give us their response rather than us give them back a mathematical equation that says they were wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. It's proved. So what about, you know, I'm just thinking for the people who are watching us at this moment, who are maybe thinking, yeah, I'm not in the place I want to be. I think I know what my limit is, or I've got an idea. How can they go about, what can they do right now to help them to move forward?
Okay, so the first thing they need to do is make a decision that they want to clear their limit. Like I had a lady here yesterday, beautiful lady, very stunning looking lady, manager of a boutique, and had so many limits. Her fear level was way higher, and it was stopping her from doing so much. And rather than bite the bullet and say, okay, you know, let's clear this, she said, can I go home and think about it? Because sometimes our fear and our limits are really, it's like we're married to them. It's like, wow, that's such a big risk for me to move out of this space that I'm in. Yeah? But clearing limitations, in fact, I've become the clearing queen just because that's my forte. So, I mean, I don't know how much time we have, but I could do a clearing, if you like, for your people, and they could, you know, pretend that they are being cleared by a coach online.
Yeah, why not?
Something I did in,
really
I mean, I actually did it on stage in Canada, and I just got in there and said, how many people feel like they have a limitation that's stopping them? And every hand was up, and I said, well, why don't we just clear it?
Yeah.
And so we did, and it was profound. I've had so many emails since. The main limiting beliefs that are out there are, I'm not good enough, or I don't deserve. You know, and a lot of them are around money. And I can go back to when I was a young kid and continually being told that I was cheeky, which means, you know, too vivacious, too outspoken, and so I decided that I wasn't good enough, and I didn't know when I could speak, and I was very quiet, which is hard for you to believe, for a very long time. I was very efficient and very quiet because I didn't know when in fact I could speak. So I didn't run my own business. I didn't do a lot of things for me for a long time. And I always worked for somebody else. I would create businesses, I would do whatever. And it took me a long time to get the courage to realize that limitation I'd taken that on board. You see, I think what's really got to be known here is it's not what somebody said to you or what somebody did. Your limitation was what you decided.
Absolutely.
That was going to be your limitation. So it wasn't that person said you're too cheeky, because there's another lady that also had that said to her, and she thought it was a fun statement.
Yeah.
Ah, I got it. I'm going, okay. So it was the way I took it on board. I made a decision that meant I wasn't good enough and I needed to stay quiet from now on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So it's our perception of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's but whatever our perception of that experience is, it's amazingly powerful because we maintain that perception.
Absolutely.
Until we choose, as you say, we decide to do it differently, to change, to make a choice.
And it's those decisions that are so powerful. As a coach, we can take people right back to when that first decision was made. And you know, a lot of our decisions, Helen, were made between the ages of 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
I can believe it.
So a lady comes for coaching and she goes, I said, oh, why don't you talk to your husband about that? And she said, oh, he won't listen to me anyway. And I went, oh, now there is a limiting belief right there. Yeah. It comes out in language. I can pick about 8 of them out when people talk.
Yeah.
And she said, he won't listen to me anyway. And I went, okay, that's a limiting belief. When do you think that started? And we asked her to close her eyes and we took her back in her time, and she could clearly see herself at 4 years of age going to knock on her parents' door because she wanted someone to play with, and the other 5 siblings had gone to school and she was what she thought was an afterthought, and nobody was going to play with her because the sisters looked after her and Mum and Dad, I think she felt, forgot about her. But she went back and very clearly saw herself as a 4-year-old going to knock on Mum and Dad's door to say, could you play with me? And she said to herself, they are not going to listen to me anyway.
So she didn't, yeah.
So it really had nothing to do with her husband, but the poor husband was copying it as a limiting belief from her because it came way back from when she was 4. She'd carried it through life. She didn't talk to the teachers, they're not going to listen to me anyway. Yeah. And it just keeps on going, and all of a sudden now it becomes the husband's problem? I don't think so.
Well, this is what's interesting, isn't it, about energy, and we're talking about the energetic connection. How we send out a certain energy, and other people pick up on it, and how also we attract to us, because that's what we're sending out, we attract that back to us anyway. So we attract the people who actually fulfill our energetic wishes, if you like, energetic needs.
Yes, absolutely.
So
and when you're walking around with that limitation, it's like you've got a backpack on your back and it's full of rocks, yeah, and some of them are boulders and some of them are little pebbles, and you're walking around with that backpack, and so your energy it has to be held back by the limitations, whatever you chose to be limitations. So it's not until you decide to clear those limitations. Now, the important part here is that we actually don't change anybody.
Yeah.
We instigate a lot of change, but we don't change anyone. So I always tell people, my job is to undo the zipper at the bottom of the backpack. Your job is to drop the rocks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever you're ready to let go of those limitations or negative emotions, whatever, be my guest, because it's lighter and therefore the energy is just wonderful. It's calming and amazing.
Yeah, and you start, that's when you start actually attracting to you what you need, what really serves you, and what serves your purpose, your what you're here to do, to express.
And that's what this is all about, this climbing the levels of awareness. So the more limitations you release, you get to the next level of awareness. You start to aspire and think differently. You start to become unique. You see yourself as a leader. You start to become disciplined. I am responsible. Huge level to get to. I'll never forget going to that. Huge level. And then all of a sudden you find that uniqueness and that discipline, and the world sends you everything, and now you need staff. Because you got it. You've released so much that all you can see are the possibilities of how you can make stuff happen.
Yeah.
And I love that bit. It's just it's fast, it's calming, it's exciting, it's just beautiful.
And this is applicable to everybody. This is everybody can do this. Everybody can release their stuff, and it's not just people who are in business or who want to be entrepreneurs or whatever. Whatever you are doing, whoever you are, you can release this stuff and can be in that space of there being no limit, of having that happiness, of choosing the happiness.
Yeah.
Because once you decide,
absolutely.
that's the thing. Everything is then possible. And we are presented with these opportunities all the time. It's up to us to be in the place, the space personally where we can take them.
Yeah, and I think it's just a case of sitting back and going, well, what are my thoughts that are limiting me? Is it that I'm not good enough? Is it that I don't deserve? Is it that it's not okay to be rich? Is it that it's not okay to be happy? Is it that I feel like I have to do everything on my own because nobody does it like me? Oh yeah, we went there. Is it about nobody does it like I do it? There's lots of different things, or you know, I have to look after everybody else before I look after myself. That's a very common one for women.
That's a big one.
And I've had to, I've had to clear that a lot. So do any of those resonate with you, or do you think if we just pick one that is the most common in the world? Because I'm happy to
well, how about
to do a clearing with whatever you think.
Let's do one of the most common ones. Let's do I'm not good enough or something like that, because that is likely to resonate with many people who are watching this.
And as we said, it resonates at all different levels. So we can feel like, I mean, I can run $1 million department for a hospital, but then someone says, we want you to go on TV, and you go, I'm okay to do that, but I'm not okay to do that. What's coming up for me? And then you've been on TV a few times, and then somebody says, oh, and I want you to, and then here it is again, and you go, oh, for heaven's sake. When are you going to go away?
That's the beauty of that response, though, isn't it? Because actually you recognize it. It's like I won't say an old friend, because it's not, but it's something you're familiar with. And you can take it much more lightheartedly, knowing that you are responsible and that you actually call the shots. And
after you've cleared it, Helen, it's beautiful, because you can just say, you know what, next.
Yeah.
Next. I choose not to have you in my life anymore, because all I want to do is focus on how I can make it happen. Now, here we're talking about energy. Once we've cleared the limitations that take our energy, so imagine if you've got this body and half of you is heading towards why you can't do it, heading towards your limitations. That takes a lot of energy. And only half of you is heading towards how you can make it happen. So it's going to be a very slow road to reaching your goal. Or all of you now, you're doing all this beautiful clearing, and now all of you is only focused on how can I make that happen? And that's all you focus on. And if a limitation comes up, you're able to, because you know the process, you're able to go, next, no limitations, I'm heading forward, I'm doing it this way. Absolutely. And it's so exciting. And that's the only way I think now. And it makes everything's possible, you know, writing books possible, going on TV possible, whatever is possible. So how can I make that happen? And all of a sudden we attract the publishers, the TV people, the people who want to get this message out to more and more people. They come, and you realize that they were always there.
They were always.
Your limitations kept them away.
Always. And that's
let's do it.
You know, you see, this is a process that you actually see it happening. You know, you experience it. And that also is very, very important, because when you start to realize, hey, this is making a difference. I'm feeling, I'm seeing, I'm experiencing the difference. You know, success breeds success. You learn actually I can trust this. I can trust myself. I can trust the process. And so, little by little, all those limits that when they were saying that you can't trust the process, that you can't do that, then all of a sudden they're not there anymore. And it's like you say, it's full steam ahead. There's nothing to stop you.
And NLP teaches you just say it as you want it. Let's not focus on what we don't want. Let's focus on what we do want. Say it as you want it. So rather than, oh, I can't come tonight, focus on the positives. Oh, okay, yes, I can come tonight, and I may be 5 minutes late. Because of other things I have to do.
And this is about responsibility, isn't it? It's about choosing. You know, it's about because, and it's all linked with this idea of being right and wrong, of failure, because you know, I can't come tonight. You know, we'll make up an excuse why we can't come tonight so that it's actually not our fault, you know. So
yes, that whole big word called try, T-R-Y. I'll try and make it. That's just opens the door to failure. I don't need to turn up because I told her I'd try.
Yeah. But I mean, it's perfectly okay to say, you know, you don't want to go tonight, right? You can say, no, well, you know, I choose. It's almost like I choose not to.
That's exactly right. We start making choices for where we're going in our world, like you were saying before. You know, I was just recently asked to go to New York and then to move on to Canada, and I went, you know what? I'm just going to go straight to Canada, and I'm going to have a beautiful weekend with my family before I go. And I know everyone would love to go to New York, or most people would, but right now it's just all too much. And the way the planes don't line up, and et cetera, et cetera. And it was just so easy for me to sit down, work it out. It's calming, and to say, even though I'd paid for the hotel, paid for the flights, I went, you know what? I'm just going to stay here for an extra few days, and then I'm just going to fly directly to Canada and make all that happen. That's exactly what I did, and I just let the rest go. And it's so calming. It was wonderful.
And it all works out perfectly, you know. And
absolutely.
This part of the trusting process as well, you know, is to actually allow yourself to listen to what you really want and to listen to what your body or what you really need. And certainly your body and mine didn't need to be rushing off to New York. Maybe something else was good, but it's like, you know, being able to listen to that intuitive hit, what you really, really felt and what you knew you really, really needed, rather than feeling the pressure of actually doing something that wasn't right for you.
And connecting with that energy. So the energy that I took to Canada was amazing because I was rested, you know, and that, you know, I mean, one of the great things about living in Australia is everything's a long way away. It's at least 3 movies and a sleep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, or 5 movies and a sleep. It's a long way. So, you know, it's a good way to relax. You can take your laptop or your iPad. You can write a chapter of your book. You know, I look at the possibilities, whereas so many people were complaining about the length of the flight, and I thought, but you knew that before you left home.
Exactly. And what does complaining?
Why don't you just work out what you can do in the time?
The energy you create around complaining is the energy that you're sitting in, the energy that you're sending out, and that's what you're feeling. You know, fearful people live in a fearful world. You know, happy people live in a happy world. It really is that personal responsibility and choice. So, Lynda, do we want to do a quick clearing on what did we say?
Let's give it a go. Well, I'm into it. I mean, as I said, I offered it in Canada, and we had a whole conference decide to do it. So let's do it.
It's about 10 minutes or so. So is that good to give people who are watching?
It's going to take about 12 to 13 minutes. So if we can, anyway, I'll go through the process. That would be good. At least that's a good process.
Good, just to give people an idea. Okay.
So what I would normally do is ask everyone to close their eyes. And so as an audience member, everyone can do this, whether they're picking it up from a recording or not. And then I would ask them to ask their subconscious mind, is it okay to clear this limiting belief today and for you to know that it's gone? And so you would need to answer directly from the subconscious. So like your head's nodding, and if people are nodding their head, that's the way the subconscious mind answers. Isn't that interesting? The subconscious mind runs your body. It runs the blood around your body. It grows your fingernails. It grows your hair. So trusting it for this process is beautiful. So then I would, keeping our eyes closed, I would then ask the subconscious mind, if it were to know the very first time I felt this limitation of, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve, you know, it's not okay to be happy or rich, whatever that limitation is, the very first time I felt this, what age was I? How old was I when this occurred? And just wait for a number to come up. Whatever that number is, trust that that's the number. You don't have to know consciously why. Just trust the number. Now, because most of us are 3-time convincers, I would ask that 3 times. So I would say, okay, so is that the first event? Let's say they say I'm 4. Yeah. I would say, ask your subconscious mind, is that the first event, or is there in fact an earlier event? Quite often there's an earlier event, so they might put 2 up. Is that the first event, or is there in fact an earlier event? And it might even go back, like in my instance, it went back to the womb. So I could clearly see myself in the womb, and that's really a bit out there for some people. But you know what? I just decided that it is what it is.
It's what it is.
And then all of a sudden I remembered my mum telling me that I was born on the hospital floor because she was too tired to give birth to me. So it made sense. All of a sudden my subconscious mind took me back there. I want to be born. She can't give me birth right now, and I'm getting impatient. So, you know, I've sort of got a bit of a limiting belief that I'm not good enough to be born, or, you know. So it was really quite interesting, and I can understand where my claustrophobia came from. So it was all good. I went back there. And so then you go back there and I would ask, so what is the event? What's going on? Now, some people may go back into generations. It may have been handed down by many generations. We don't know. We just need to trust the unconscious mind. Yeah. But you go back to the event and you let the instructor know what the event was like and why you didn't feel good enough in that event. And so then you ask this child, you float all the way back and you come back down to this little child. In my case, it's a fetus. And you ask this fetus, would you like to come to a beautiful place well before the event where you can sit on this great big puffy white cloud, this beautiful hue of light full of love, light, healing, wisdom and understanding, and the cloud and the light will support you in the process. So you sit there on this beautiful cloud. Now, you know that there was no limiting belief before the event, so it's a very safe place to go. You sit there with that fetus or that child and you ask the child, what are the resources that you need in order to clear this limitation today of I'm not feeling good enough or I don't deserve, and for you to move on? Now, some of the most positive resources are things like I need love, I need hugs, I need awareness, I needed to be understood, I needed to be heard. Another common one is I needed a hug. Just as simple as that. I needed someone just to hug me, you know. Another one could be I needed courage to get out of the situation. I just needed an understanding of the situation. So there are what we call positive resources. So now this child has positive resources. Now think about it. A limitation is a person that didn't feel they had any resources, or it wouldn't be a limitation. So it's a beautiful process. So then you say to the person, ask the child, what positive resources do you have for me, the adult I am today, so that I can let go of this limitation and I can know that it's gone. And so the child will give you the limitations. Like it could be, it's time for you to love yourself. Yeah. It's time for you to believe in you and the things that you want to do. It's time for you to have the courage. It's time for you to let go is a common one. Yeah? Let go of what's holding you back. It's time for you to understand and to be understood. It's time for you to get your boundaries. Set some boundaries so that you can move forward and decide on what information you take in. It may be that you need just to believe in yourself and others. Yeah? So those resources come back. So then what I do is I go, as the coach, I will go, so I want you to imagine this hue of light, full of love, light, healing, wisdom and understanding, pouring down through your body and filling up every cell of your body until it's totally whole and totally healed. And have it pour out of your heart and into the child in the timeline, and take with it those resources. I'm giving you the courage, I'm giving you understanding, I'm giving you love, I'm giving you hugs. I'm giving you those resources. and just let me know when that's complete. And the person will nod, and that's an indication that the subconscious mind knows that it's happened. Then I'll say, I want you to see that beautiful hue of light, full of love, light, healing, wisdom and understanding, pouring down through the top of the child's head and filling them up until they're totally whole and totally healed. And I really hope some of your listeners are doing this. And then hug the child. Let them know that you love them dearly. Have them merge into be the person you are today and bring with them all those beautiful resources that they had for you. So they're bringing with them, I'm bringing you courage, and it's time for you to believe in yourself. It's time for you to let go of limitations. It's time for you to move forward. It's time for you to let go of anything that's going to stop you. It's time for you to understand that you can do it. And it's time for you to believe. And just feel that going into your body. Now, with all those resources and all that beautiful hue of light, full of love, light, healing, wisdom and understanding, I want you to come down and come back down to that first event where you didn't feel like you were good enough or deserved. How do you feel instead now? Now, 99% of the people with those resources don't feel like that limitation's there now. They would have handled it totally differently, and they tell you how. They say, oh, it's actually quite calming. You know, I understood that, you know, my mum had to go through a process, so I'm just sitting down waiting. Or not, whatever. And then I'll say, great. So I want you, and great is a great comment to give subconscious mind. If you're talking to a child or another person, remember the subconscious mind is the child part of them. So when you say great, their subconscious mind, which is 96% of them, goes, oh, I did something right. So you say, great. And you say, let's come back all the way back to now, along that timeline, from all the way back there, back to now, and clear away all the times you felt that limitation. Clear it away right now. Let it go. And put in its place all these beautiful resources. I am loved. I have belief now that I can. It's time for me to let go. I have the courage and the wisdom and the understanding to do it. Yeah, I have hugs. I'm loved by others, and I have a self-love. And you give them time to do that all the way back. And then they'll tell you when they're back. And when they're back, you say, how does that feel now? And they go, wow, it's lighter. And I say, yeah, limitations can be heavy. And that was a boulder.
Yeah, this is an amazing process. I mean, I've been through it several times and have taken clients through it as well. And it is always
beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. It's enlightening. And for many people, it's unexpected. You know, they just didn't realize and didn't expect to feel the power, the lightness, the totally different energy that you feel after going through it. So it really is a very, very, very powerful. So
if you can liken it to releasing one of the rocks from the backpack, then that will give all the people watching this today, it will give them an idea of what happens when we let go of a limiting belief. The backpack gets lighter, so we move in a brisker way. And you know, physiologically, people will know that you've done that. Because you're going to have a whole different energy in your cheeks, and the breathing's going to be differently because now you're sleeping better. You're not sleeping with limits. You're not moving around in your day with limits or making choices with limits. There's no, it's so calming.
They're with you all the time. That's absolutely wonderful, Lynda. Thank you so much for taking us through that process. I'd like to give you an opportunity, you know, if there's anything particular at this particular time that you would like to share with people. Just we've got 5 minutes or so before we finish. So what's happening for you at the moment? Any hot news that you'd like to share?
Wow, there's so much going on in my world this year. I'm wondering if they should expand it to 13, 14 months so I can fit it all in. I've been invited to go back to Canada and run some NLP practitioner certification courses in Toronto. I've also been asked to go to California and run some master practitioner programs for people who have done some NLP and want to take it to a different level and become that coach. And also, we've been asked, as you have, to join this fantastic world tour in September and October. Could even begin in August, the way we're going.
I know.
And to take this message around the world that people are amazing. And that's one of the wonderful things that NLP teaches you, is that because it's a study of excellence, that's why I loved it. It teaches you that people are in fact excellent. They are amazing, and they just happen to have a little bit of stuff that's so easy to let go of when they are ready and when they give permission.
Yeah.
So to enable us to go around and teach people that they can become the leader of their own life and follow their own rules is just too exciting for words. And
that is
people are loving the concept. Yeah,
that's the title of the show that we'll be taking around a couple of months. Conscious Leadership, It's Time to Follow Your Own Rules. And Lynda, myself, and two other amazing people, two men, also Australian, are going to be involved in the tour. And then we'll be in the UK, we'll be in Belgium, we'll be possibly in Germany, we'll be in the US, we'll be in Canada, Jamaica, I think, also, Lynda. Is that,
yes, it's a real world tour, this one.
Yeah, back to Australia. So keep a lookout. We'll be posting stuff all the time to let you know of dates and venues and so on, and how you can come and join us in this raising of consciousness of being, as Lynda said, the leader in your own lives. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
No, it's really exciting.
There's a lot to be done before it starts, but it's going to be a very, very interesting and uplifting and inspiring event. So if you can make it, make sure you put the dates in the diary and watch this space, because I'll be posting about it, and so will Lynda, and so will Paul Langer and Thomas Reed, the other guys that are going to be with us. So Lynda, that's just about it. Every time we talk, I cannot believe how quickly the time goes. Can you believe it? So would you like to just leave your web address so people can get in touch with you and how they can connect with you to?
Yes, it's because I've just had 2 bestsellers come out, which is really exciting, and I've been asked to be a part of another book, and I'll be interviewed this week called Ready, Aim, Inspire. So there's a lot happening, and I'm actually writing my own book. There's so much happening, it's just wonderful, and I have online product and all sorts of opportunities for people. The website is www.mindpowerglobal.com.au, or you can just go on to my name, www.lynda, Lynda dash, I didn't have a middle name, so they put a dash in, Dyer, DYER.com. Lots of free blogs, lots of all sorts of good stuff, online product where you can actually see me doing what we just did then, and if you want to release your anxiety or learn how to clear your own limitations, it's all there, it's all possible, and it's all in a 20-minute DVD.
There are no limits. Well, we know now. Thank you so much, Lynda. It's been a real joy. Thanks to everybody for watching. So you can connect with me as always on helenkerrison.com and watch these shows on helenkerrisontv.com, or connect with me by email, helen@helenkerrison.com. So always looking forward to hearing your comments, your ideas, your thoughts. The next show will be on Tuesday, 7th of May, and I'll be joined by the lovely Blanca Vergara. You won't want to miss that. She's an exceptional lady, and energy, that's all I need to say. It's all in the energy. So join us then. That's on the 7th of May. And you can go onto the HelenKerrisonTV.com site to find out about upcoming shows too, and also to catch up on previous shows. So that's it. Thanks to Lynda once more. It's been a real joy and a pleasure. Thank you for joining us from Sydney, Australia.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynda. And so until the next time, take care wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.